Hello, my friend.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay. My brother was here for the last several days and was on the front line, so it was a lovely respite.
Oh, good. Did he have any insight?
No, because she was on her best behavior.
Um, my mother stopped walking last week and stopped eating
Oh, Deb.
on Sunday. Sunday and Monday, she was out. Tuesday, I actually could talk to her, and she said, I went to hold her hand, and she was like, ow. And she had done that when she first, I'm not going to continue this if the girls come on.
Yeah, go ahead.
She did this when she first got out of the hospital, which was just a form of anxiety and fear. Um, but she doesn't have the will. She doesn't have the will to live. We finally got labs, and she doesn't have an infection, and she
Okay.
never had a fever or anything like that because they did her vitals every day. Um, she doesn't have an infection, but her gallbladder is very high. They're going to do a sonogram and just to see how bad it is, and we can make a decision to take it out. I'm not taking it out. The worst thing to do. She'll die in the hospital. I'd rather have her die, in Pine Run. So my family, now I'm mad because they should have contacted me the day she couldn't stand up,
Yeah.
and they
Absolutely.
didn't.
Yeah.
So I had to find it out on my own. Um, but
Do you
I
think
didn't
she
visit her.
couldn't or she wouldn't?
What's that?
She couldn't stand up or she wouldn't stand
Her legs are very bad,
up? Okay.
and it's a combination of really weak uh legs. So it takes her, and this has been going on for a while. So I think it was a combination of didn't feel like it and couldn't.
Okay.
And I think it was just like, oh, she's just had it. That's my
Yeah.
interpretation
Yeah. Well,
of it. So I'll see her. So hey, Ronnie, my brothers and sisters are trailing in, one at a time, and Ronnie just disappeared. Um, so so there's a lot of emotion around that,
sure.
that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
So my brother, who he was the first one that realized that, I think he said, I think it's her time.
Yeah.
And but when he saw her, he got upset, and now he's blaming Pine Run.
Hi, Deb.
Hey, Deb. And it's not Pine Run's fault.
Right.
It's their fault that they didn't call me.
Right. Oh.
Anyway, I had my tears on Tuesday.
Yeah. No, I mean, the scale of this is just so overwhelming. You can only take a little piece at the time of all the implications. But yeah, you got to allow yourself to have your feelings too, and not just,
Yeah,
you know,
no, and I don't feel like I felt like I was with my mom 24/7 when she first got into skilled nursing, but I don't feel I need to do that. I think she's really comfortable. She's sleeping half the time. So just so Deb and Ronnie knows, my mom did a downturn um, last week by not walking. Two people had to lift her to get her into a chair, and when I was there on Sunday, she just refused to eat. So
Oh no.
yeah, so I'm not sure. I don't see that she's going to come out of this, but I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Oh gosh. No, so all that stuff is. Yeah, I'm having a lot of things with my mom too. It's crazy. So I'm sorry to hear this. It's so upsetting.
And because she has dementia, although I think this is I think it's a combination of dementia and depression. She's continuing calling out my dad. Like, so she misses him so much that I
Oh,
think that's part of her, letting go.
Mm.
My dad, on the other hand, my dad had brain cancer, and the hospice told us there's going to come a time he's going to stop eating, and 10 days later, usually he'll die. My father ate until the last day, because to him, food was life. For my mother, food is life, and she doesn't want it. Not to be depressed or anything. Thank you, Lisa. What would you guys like to, I have a plan, but what would you guys like to do?
A little bit of lower back stretches would be good for me. Thanks.
Ronnie,
Yes. Good morning.
good morning.
I'm sorry I had to go to Vegas and I was on a plane for work Tuesday night, and when I remembered I had to leave Sunday. It was a very quick
worries.
trip.
You almost always let me know. So
I know. I was like, oh my God.
I kind of did this theme on Tuesday night, so I hope Deb's not going to get too bored. I won't say the same things, and we won't do the same things. But India just they have a big celebration around this time, honoring the goddesses. They honor one goddess that has 3 embodiments. This gets confusing, but I guess it's like Catholicism, like the Trinity. So there's Durga, who's like my fave, and they've changed over the years. But Durga rides a lion. She's got like 10, weapons, and she kills the demons. Now it's really interesting. They call demons, like demon gods, asuras, which means beings without light. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And that like they had light, but the light has been darkened. And the idea of Durga is that we have to develop our own tools or weapons to kill our own negativities that don't serve us. Not that those are demons, but that they're just, procrastination, like for me, is a big negativity. Fear can be a big negativity. So I really like the, and warriors are represented with the legs. And so I was just telling Lisa that my mom stopped walking last week, or she refused to walk. And I think it's very painful for her. But once she gets going, she gets going. But, she even asked me a couple of weeks ago, I'm sitting in her little room and she's asking me if I would wheel her to the bathroom. It wasn't even 5 feet. My mother's not the warrior right now. Maybe she wasn't, in her younger time. But we all have been warriors. We've all been warriors. We've all kind of missed being a warrior, or we've, you have to feel the courage or feel the fear and go for it anyhow. That's actually, I think, true courage is when you're not feeling courageous, is when you're feeling fearful. So it represents the legs. And really kind of keys into last week with the locking of the knees, because when you lock the knees, and lots of people lock joints. So people lock elbows, they lock their hips, they stiffen up. That's just blocking the flow of energy. So let's start in a seated position. We'll get our warrior goddess out. The other thing about Durga, like all the other goddesses, have consorts. They have the opposite on the male side, right? So they're not like a married couple, but it's a balance. Durga has she does not have a consort. And she was the goddess that killed the demon. And the demon got a boon that he could never be killed. He could never be killed. And he said, this was his ego, unless it's by a woman, because they're not going to do it. And sure enough, that's what did him in. So get into a comfortable seat. You want to take your inner thighs and roll the inner thighs in a rotation. So you want to roll the inner thighs down and the outer thighs out. And then you want to move the flesh from your sit bones, your butt. And ideally, you're sitting on a blanket or two, so your pelvis is tilting forward. And then close your eyes. Let that conversation go, both of them. And just be here right now with yourself, with your body, with the sensations in the body. First act shows up, and then maybe thoughts show up. Get a sense of the floor holding you up. If you're sitting on the blanket, the softness of the blanket. Think of your home holding you up. Think of the earth around the home. And draw a direct correlation between your tailbone and your connection to the earth. So the legs represent moving forward in life. They represent, they actually hold fear, not anger. They hold fear. They represent your security. They represent the earth. So when we're strong and healthy legs, we walk forward in life. So you want to feel almost a heaviness, a weightedness from the tops of your thighs all the way down to your feet and below. And I often say you can imagine a golden cord from your tailbone and just see it connecting deep within the center of the earth and wide. And then take a nice breath in and out. Now keep that sense of weightedness and connection to yourself and to your mat and to your home and to the earth. And rise up. So you want to lengthen your spine up. Draw your hands back on your lap until your elbows are underneath the shoulders. And you want a slight tone of the belly. And then from the top of the head, another golden cord reaching you into the stars and planets. And then keep that and just place your hand over your own heart. And breathe into the heart. Breathe into your heart. Relax the eyes, the cheeks, the mouth. Notice if you're in alignment but not holding tension. You want to breathe in a relaxed way. And the word Vira, so the warrior poses in yoga are called Virabhadrasana, 1, 2, 3, reverse Virabhadrasana, all that. And Vira comes from the word courage, and courage comes from the word heart. So your courage has to come from your heart, or it doesn't have to. I'm not going to go anywhere, but in yoga, there's two hearts. There's your heart where your hand is, and there's a heart below. That's your gut reaction. And just think of where you would like to bring personal courage. And it doesn't mean to fight a major war. It could be something small, but relevant to you. And breathe that intention into your own heart. Two more breaths. And then release the hand, open the eyes. Switch your, first stretch out your legs. You can wiggle your toes, circle your ankles, circle them in the other direction. And roll the legs in, because just like the arms can roll in, the legs can roll in, and roll the arms out, legs out. So as you know in yoga, usually our feet are facing forward unless they're doing something very specific, because our poses grow from the ground up. So you want to sit with your opposite leg in front, and if you don't remember what it is, sit the way you would normally sit, and then put the opposite leg in front. And just flex your toes here, flex your feet, so you got activity in the legs, right? You could not flex your feet and walk forward, and then flex your feet, flex your toes, so you have a little bit more activity in your feet and legs, and just you can just feel energetically the difference. So you walk your fingertips forward just enough. You want a straight spine. You don't want to drop your head, and you don't want to lift your head. 2 breaths here. And you want to breathe from the tailbone up the spine. Walk your hands back. Side bend. Keep both hips flat. So we tend to kind of favor the side we're leaning towards. Keep the opposite hip grounded as well. Other side. And just the idea of how we use language, right? You can talk about your friends or people you know as they're really grounded. And you can also say that person's a real airhead. We're going to stand up. Actually, before we stand up, I hope you weren't fast. Let's do cat-cow. And I want to do cat-cow with our toes curled under. Again, just bringing energy into the legs and feet. So if your feet were going to be straight back, ideally you would press the tops of your feet into the ground. When you curl your toes under, it actually is a better alignment for your knees. So this is yoga nerd stuff. And we're going to do cat-cow. Just to warm up the muscles around the spine. Also, when the toes are curled under, you want the weight more in your big toe mount, because we tend to go towards our outer feet. And then neutral spine, engage your stomach muscles, and just stretch your right or left leg back, and you want to get a stretch in your leg. And you'll know if you got it behind your knee, you're locking your knee. So you want it in the calf or the hamstring. And then come back, and the other leg. And then toes touch, knees wide. Come into your version of child pose. And it can be a relaxed child pose or an active child pose. And either double fist. Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You want to stay here for about 4 or 5 breaths and breathe into the pelvis, including the tailbone. So by your sacrum and your tailbone. And we're going to come onto our hands and knees again. And the tailbone is really important in setting our poses up. So just stick your tailbone up and then take your tailbone down. Tailbone up, tailbone down, pull the belly in when the tailbone's down. Do that a couple more times. You're just working your tailbone and pelvis. You're not doing anything else with your spine. Good. If you have blocks in front of you, you can do downward facing dog with your hands on blocks, or just do a regular downward facing dog as a warm up. So your knees are bent, you can pedal out your heels. And then walk your feet forward. And come on up. So we're going to do a combination of warrior and goddess. And see yourself both as, and we'll just call it warrior goddesses. Just see yourself as that. So first warrior, this is not like alignment focused. It's just a step forward, the knees bent and the arms up. And then we add the breath. So it's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Take a breath. And goddess is a squat. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So you can go as wide as you want. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Just close your eyes and breathe. And you want to actually make a little diamond with your thumb and forefinger and breathe right in the middle of the space you created. So energetically, the center of our pelvis, we draw energy up our legs to the center of the pelvis, and we root down through the bones of the legs. We're going to combine warrior and goddess, and we're kind of enjoy yourself doing it. So it's right leg, back, left leg. Then we go to goddess, right leg out, left leg out. Warrior, goddess, warrior, goddess, and one more set. And then close your eyes, make that little diamond shape with your thumb and forefinger, and breathe. Good. So walk out. I want you to do that. No, let's stand in mountain pose. So where the tailbone fits in, it's kind of hard to just like, unless you've been doing yoga for a long time, just to root the tailbone. So ideally, the thigh bones move back. I'm sticking my butt back. And the tailbone roots down towards your heels. You'll feel your low belly pull up. Thigh bones back, tailbone down, belly pulls up. You don't want to clench your butt. You can hug the sides of your hips in, but it's not about clenching the butt. You will, and you might be one of them, there are some people that walk with their tailbone forward, right? And their shoulders are slumped. And I used to be this, it's walking with your tailbone back. So we want to have, balanced action in that. So let's look at that as we do some of our standard poses. So walk your feet out comfortably wide. Check your toes out. They should be lined up with each other. And the edges of the feet should parallel the sides of the mat. So even here, take your thigh bones back and then pull that low belly in to take the tailbone straight down. Float your arms out to the side. 5-pointed star. And notice if you're locking up your knees or your hips. Roll your shoulders back and reach the arms up as you press down through the legs and reach up from your side waist to your fingertips. Volcano pose. Now you're going to turn your right foot out 90 degrees and then come into your classic warrior two pose. And even here, thigh bones move back, tailbone moves down, belly pulls in. And as you're in your warrior pose, just feel the strength of your legs. Feel how notice if you are grounded to yourself in your core, your low belly, through your legs, even to your feet. And release. Feet parallel. Forward bend. So here's a forward bend where you really take your thigh bones back. Walk your hands forward. You might need blocks here. You want to lengthen spine and then just bow in. And you can keep your hands forward or you can walk them back a little bit and bow in again. Come out, put your hands on your hips, really press down through your legs to come up. 5-pointed star. Volcano. Left foot turns out 90 degrees and you'll fall into your warrior two pose. Thigh bones back, you can exaggerate it. Pull that low belly in. Steadiness. So these warrior poses, it's the steadiness of the mind. There's an openness in the heart and chest and really strong legs. And you breathe down into your low belly. Good. Relax the arms down. Turn that left foot in. Walk in. Make that little heart shape or diamond shape with your thumb and forefinger. Close your eyes and breathe. And so these are more subtle clues to your body, but you can feel it. Standing poses have an energy to them, right? And it's it can be aerobic. I mean, I'm not sure that was so aerobic, but it takes focus. So that's the steadiness of the mind, and you have to use your legs in a way that we don't normally use them. But they have a different energy than if we did a forward bend. They have a different energy if we did a back bend. They have a different energy if we just stood still. Walk out wide. Take the right foot out again. Bend the knee. Thigh bones back. So I'm swinging my thigh bones back and then taking my tailbone down. And you can either have the hand on the knee, right hand on the knee, left arm over, or forearm on your thigh. If you sit lower, it's just a little bit more opening of the hip. But remember, we want to press down with our feet and we want to feel a lift in the pelvic floor. So we're not just sinking. One out. Turn the right foot in, left foot out. Bend the knee. Again, the hand can be on the knee or forearm on the thigh. And breathe. Now, I forgot to say, take your thigh bones back. Pull that low belly in. Set the tailbone. Lift up from the base of the floor of the pelvis. And just see if that feels different. Come on out. Close your eyes and breathe. So it's not the last standing pose we'll do, but we'll do triangle. You'll do need a block. You could also have a chair and put your hand on the chair. So block in the right hand, feet comfortably wide. And since we're not all together, it doesn't matter to me how wide your legs are, but I will say that if they're too narrow, you have steadiness but not freedom. So you want to play your edge, not full tilt, but you want to play your edge on this. And I've had to take my poses back a notch because I used to go beyond my edge, for 20 years. So turn the right foot out, bend the knee, place your block, maybe just behind your ankle. Take your left thigh bone back. Pull that belly in. Root the tailbone, stretch the leg straight. You can take a step back more if you want, and you lean back so that you're lined up with your legs. And then that left arm up. Imagine you're drinking energy up from the earth through the soles of the feet up towards the center of the pelvis. And from the center of the pelvis, make your bones stronger. Root down through the bones of the legs to your feet to the earth. Come on out. Other side. Just check that the right foot is parallel to the back edge of the mat. Bend that front knee, place your block. Just take your right thigh bone back and then pull that low belly in. That'll take your tailbone. Stretch that left leg straight. Make adjustments as you need them. Right arm up. And again, imagine you're drinking from your feet into your pelvis. You can feel that energy move up into the center of the pelvis and then root from the center of the pelvis down through the legs, making them even stronger. Good. And come out. And breathe. So Trikonasana triangle pose, as you know, is a triangle. And it's interesting because I mentioned Durga, but she also embodies three other goddesses, which is Lakshmi, Kali, and Saraswati. Just very briefly, Lakshmi, beautiful, Mother Earth itself, abundance, gives you wealth, spiritual wealth, material wealth. Kali is like a scary goddess. She slashes your ego. And then Saraswati is the goddess of the arts, of music, of knowledge. So Durga encompasses them. So three triangle, very important in many sacred traditions. And so what was just held in India was, it's called the 3 nights. So each of those 3 goddesses are celebrated 3 nights each. Let's go to the front of the mat. You want your blocks on either side of your foot. Your toes are lined up with the front edge of the blocks. You're in standing mountain pose. Close your eyes, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Even here, standing still, energetically draw the energy up from the soles of the feet. You can feel your muscles tone on your legs all the way to the center of the pelvis, and then root down strong, and then rise up from the waist all the way to the top of the head. Shoulders roll back a little bit. Hands to your heart. We'll do this little sun salute to bring light into the intentions we set. Take a nice full breath in. Exhale, arms by your side. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, hands right to the heart. So we're not going to bow forward. We're going to do 4 more. Inhale. Exhale, arms by your side. Root down through your legs. Reach out wide. Palms touch. And back to the center of the heart. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale wide. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Do 2 more at your own pace. Make it a kind of as if you're moving through water. So your legs are steady, your heart is open, your mind is calm. And then just pause. Take a breath. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, reach out wide again. Exhale, bow forward. We're going to bend the knees, put our hands on our blocks. Take a step back with your left foot. You can take a long step back. And Ronnie, this is where you want to have either have your knee down. Yeah, I think knee down is better for you than being upright like this. Because remember, we talked about you putting your hands on a chair. So knee down is better for you. We want to behind our fingertips. We want our chest lifted. Press down through your legs, lift your hips up, and take your right hip a little bit more to the left as you press out through your back heel. And Ronnie, you don't have to do this unless you're using a chair. Inhale, stretch your front leg straight. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. So we're going to keep Ronnie company. Keep sliding your left foot back and come onto your knee, your left knee. Keep your back toes curled under. Come high in your fingertips. Take your arms out to the side. Roll your shoulders back and bring your arms up. And breathe. Put hands on the blocks. Back leg up, step forward. Hands on your hips, shoulders back, come on up. And breathe. Hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, arms by your side. Inhale, reach out and up. And exhale, all the way down. Bend the knees, big step back with your right foot. So first, if your name is not Ronnie, you want to be in a high lunge. Ronnie, you can have that back leg down. Just make sure you curl your back toes under. Chest is lifted. You can adjust your blocks so you get height in your chest. Then flatten your hands on the block, straight, stretch the left leg straight, and then bend. See if you can move from your outer left hip. Bring some consciousness there. Just going to do this 3 times. And then keep sliding your right foot back. Come onto your knees. Walk your blocks back. You want to come high in your fingertips. So you always hear me talk about the psoas. You know, our legs only move forward because we have a psoas muscle. So we can have really strong, flexible legs, but if our psoas is, we don't have a psoas, I don't know, we wouldn't walk. You can widen your left foot out to the side, take your arms out, roll the shoulders back, really press down through your legs as you reach the arms up, and breathe. Good. We're going to take the left foot back. Cat, cow. Downward facing dog with or without blocks. If you're in down dog, have your knees bent and lift your tailbone up towards the sky. Then lower the heels, they don't have to touch. And then just pull that low belly in so that the tailbone is pointing towards your heels. And breathe. Child's pose. Good. We're gonna sit. You can sit on edge of a blanket. We'll start with our feet together. Roll your inner thighs back and apart, and then pull that low belly in. So that's what's grounded. Think of that golden cord grounding to the center of the earth. Your feet can be closer into your groins. Hold your ankles. Sit up as tall as you can. Usually you can get at least 2 to 3 inches of length in your spine. And you might be getting a stretch here, which means you don't need to do anything else. Otherwise, begin to hinge forward, and the hinging comes from the low back. Two more breaths. Good. Press the edges of your feet down, pull the belly in, extend your left leg forward, and you're going to take your right knee and hip back. So remember, we did outer rotation, inner rotation. The leg likes to do outer. Roll your inner thighs again, your inner knees and your inner shins, and we want that foot to be pointing straight up. There's a little tiny baby twist towards that left leg, unless it's not a teeny tiny baby twist for you. And you just walk your fingers forward until you're 80% there. You feel some sensation, not extreme, and you want to breathe. Now, a hard thing in this pose, a more advanced way of looking at it, is that this left side waist actually has to pull back. Now, if you're really flexible, you can hold the foot with the outer foot with your right hand, bend the elbow, and just lengthen the crown of the head forward. Walk your hands up your legs. Have your hands behind you and get length from your sacrum all the way up to your breastbone, to your neck. Stretch both legs out, give them a little bounce, circle those ankles, wiggle those toes again. And we're going to pull the left. So if you didn't want to do as much of a twist, you don't have to pull the hip back. Otherwise, pull the hip back, the knee back, the foot back. There's a little twist towards that right leg. Inner thighs, back and apart, inner knee, inner shin. And you walk your fingertips forward. You might be more flexible on this side. You might be less. Just notice what it is without judgment and breathe into it. If we can relax, if we get the right alignment and then relax, the body will open. It's my teacher would always say that You know, you can't take a rosebud and open it so that it looks like it's a blossomed flower, or you just destroy it. And the same thing with the body. You can't open it up until it's ready to open. Walk your hands back, fingertips behind you. Lift that sacrum, low back, middle back, upper back, shoulders back. Both legs out. Give them a little pounce. And again, get that lift in the chest. Let's come on to our backs. Take your arms out to the side a little bit and just arch and flatten your back very, very slowly. And you notice that when the tailbone is forward, you have a nice curve in the neck when your back is flat and your tailbone is sticking up, flat back. When tailbone moves behind you, you have an arch in your back and your neck is flat. Let's do that a couple of times. And then we want to be neutral. So not usually the back is too flat. So usually I always say a little curve in the back, but not that much of a curve. It's just that you don't want a really flat lower back. Take your arms a little bit more out to the side, feet a little wider than the hips. Drop the knees to the left as you turn your head to the right, and just go back and forth. Back to center. Cross the right knee over the left, arch the back a little bit, drop the knees to the right, just 5 times. It's not a big drop. Back to center. You might, even just 5 times, you might feel a difference on the left side of the spine and hip and shoulder area. Clasp your hands, straight arms. You're going to roll to the right. You don't have to go all the way over. Just 5 times. And breathe. Other side. Once you do 5, come back. Little arch in the low back. Shoulders are flat. Shoulder blades are flat, so usually you have to tuck them under. Left knee over right, and a little drop over 5 times to the left. And then breathe. Stretch the legs out. Again, circle your ankles. Rotate the legs in, rotate them out. Stretch your arms overhead. Stretch your right side. Stretch your left side. You can keep your legs straight here or bend your knees. Feet as wide as the mat. You can knock your knees. Everybody's hips are different. I tend to have tight hips. You could have your feet in bound angle, which for me is like too much in the groins, or you could cross your legs. So I gave you 4 options. You can even make one up. You're going to put your hands on your low belly, just like we did when we were standing up. Thumb at the belly button. Point your fingers towards the pubic bone. Take 5 relaxing breaths into the low belly. And you can feel your belly rise and fall with your breath. Exaggerate your exhalation. After you finish 5 rounds, just release your hands to your side. Your legs are crossed, recross them. So with the opposite leg in front, if you didn't like whatever you were doing, do something else. We're going to put both hands on our breastbone, one hand on top of the other. Take 5 breaths into the heart center. Exaggerate your exhalation. Release, stretch it out as you wish. And take your right leg up towards the ceiling. Grab the leg somewhere. Pull the leg towards you. Point, and then really flex. You can clasp your hands behind your leg, stretch your left leg out. The knee can be bent on this. And then bend the knee. Hold the knee with your left hand and take the knee just a little bit over to the left so you get a stretch perhaps in your hip. Come on out, just place that right foot down. Lift the left leg up. Hold the leg somewhere. Point and flex. Stretch that right leg out. And breathe. And then bend the knee. Hold the knee with the right hand just a little bit over to the right. So if you don't get a stretch, sometimes if you arch your low back, you can get a stretch in the hip, I mean. Come on out. Hug both knees in. The knees are as wide as your torso, as wide as your ribs. You can massage the low back if you'd like. You can stay perfectly still if you'd like. Couple big breaths into the belly. It could be the whole belly. And you're going to set yourself up for Shavasana. And this is where we tap into our own stillness. We tap into that part of Mother Nature that holds peace, stillness as its nature. So first, relax the eyes, the cheeks, and your mouth. Soften your jaw and your chin. Let the back of the head rest and feel the eyes resting back into your eye sockets. Take a nice breath into your shoulders, neck, and throat. And when you exhale, relax the shoulders, the neck muscles, and the throat muscles. Let a calm energy move through your arms. Relax your belly. Keep relaxing your belly. Keep relaxing your belly. Breathe into the pelvis. Breathe at the tip of the tailbone. Imagine there's a spark of light there. Breathe there a couple more times. There's a little spark of light at the tip of the tailbone. And just let a calm energy move through your legs, feet, and toes. So your legs represent the earth, walking forward in life, security. Feel the earth-like quality of the legs. They're heavy, dense. Let them rest. Your pelvis holds the element of water, fluidity. With us taking our thigh bones back and then tailbone down. Breathe into the low belly and just feel the water-like quality in the low belly and pelvis. Your lungs and your heart represent air. Feel the lightness and airiness and spaciousness in the lungs and heart. The mind represents space. But just feel the expansive quality that's held in the mind. Let your eyes rest more. Let all the bones and the muscles in your body rest more. And just tap into that part of yourself that holds stillness, silence, peacefulness. Just for a few minutes. Go a little deeper, just for a few breaths. And staying in this deep layer of yourself. Feel the breath rising and falling. Feel how you're being breathed. Deepen your breath and breathe in a way that sets you up for a fabulous day. Feel your own aliveness. Feel that courage within. It's always there. It's only fear that covers it up. That's one of the asuras. It's the non-light beings that we deal with. Non-light aspects of ourselves. Wiggle toes and fingers, stretch if you'd like. When you're ready, you'll roll to the side. And when you're ready, you'll slowly come up to sit. Join your palms together in front of your own hearts. Let your heart lift, let your head bow. And take this moment to honor all your courageous acts in the past, all the courageous acts you'll have in the future, and the lessons we learn when we're not that courageous. And as always, from my heart to your heart, thank you for allowing me to be your yoga guide today. Namaste.
Oh, thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Deb.
You're
Have
welcome.
a great weekend.
You too.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
Thanks, Deb. Have a
You're-
good weekend, everyone.
I just unmuted you, Lisa. You too, Deb.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Can you hear me, Deb?
Yeah.
So are you going to go see your mom today?
Yeah. I have a client at 10 and I'll go see her.
Okay.
She
All
was
right.
asking me on Tuesday, she said she didn't know what was wrong with her. And the truth is nobody knew what was wrong with her. And she thought that my sisters gave her COVID. I said, you don't have a fever. You don't have,
Yeah.
you're not sick. And I didn't know what to say to her. I mean, I want to say to her, it's okay to let go, but she's not there yet.
I know it's so hard because it's hard to believe that there isn't at least an expectation, at a certain time and age and whatever. But I guess some people really just don't want to ever talk about it. And that was my lesson from my dad, that it took my daughter to say, like, wait, like, knock it off, mom. Like you said, everybody gets to choose the way they die. Well, that's how he wanted to die. He didn't want to talk about it. Like, he wasn't making my choice, but it was his.
Yeah.
And that worked for him because he didn't talk about anything that was really, I don't know how your mom is, but I do know that when hospice starts and a social worker, I'm not suggesting that this is, but if it is, that they give them an opportunity to talk about it with someone that isn't family, and sometimes they do then.
Yeah, it's, what I was trying to explain to my family, because they were like going after first I had to call my brother up and he didn't pick up the phone and say, she's not she's not in skilled nursing.
Okay.
She's not getting nurses' attention every day. Should they have called me? Yes, just because I needed to know that there was a change in behavior. But I don't disagree with what they've been doing. There is a nurse there or an aide there that lies. Her aides are like the aides that really work with her are fabulous. And they'll say she had 2 tablespoons of oatmeal. She had a whole glass of, like, they very specific of what she eats and what she doesn't. The other one says, oh, she ate. And we know that she's not eating. But there's dementia involved.
Yeah.
There's depression involved. And so that's what makes it complicated, because it's the depression that's sinking her.
Right.
And she doesn't want to live anymore.
Right.
I know that. I mean, I was going to have a talk with her and say, focus on your family who loves you. Look at how they all come to see you all the time.
But then again, with dementia, you don't know what she's remembering, what she's, and with dementia, you also don't know where she is in her mind. Keep forgetting about the dementia piece, that she doesn't have awareness that this could be the end of her life. So she's, yes, like this is a lot of layers here.
Yeah.
Because, it sounds like there's a lot of confusion on her part of, I don't feel right, I don't know what's happening. And then with dementia, how do you explain it in a way that, makes sense?
She has more wherewithal. Some of like I said, it's sometimes she's just not there, and sometimes she has a lot. Like when I was with her on Tuesday, she had a lot of, she was cognizant. But here's a weird thing that she does, and she's been doing it for a while. She'll talk to you and then she'll go. Like she'll say 2 words and then she'll fall asleep. And my girlfriend's dad did that. And I don't see it connected energetically to her running out of space. I see it as she just doesn't have the will to want to talk. And sometimes she'll look at you completely blank. And maybe because I know my mother so well that I'm not accepting this as a form of dementia. But I'm gonna go over and speak to somebody today. And like, her labs shows. I told you about the gallbladder.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. Although I don't want to make that decision for my family, but I think pretty much everybody will be in agreement. And my mother's living will is no resuscitation. Well, that just means, pumping the chest, but putting her in the hospital for gallbladder is another form of resuscitation.
Right. And that's where, again, at this point, I don't know if you yourself want to talk to a hospice social worker at Pine Run, just to say, look, here's the thing, because what most people say, and again, she may be nowhere near this, but when it's time, just for you to have good information, since you're the point person for the family, this is what we're seeing. And normally this not wanting to eat is a sign that something has really changed in the whole psyche here. But just, there's hospice and then there's palliative care. So palliative care is kind of where it's sounding like she is, where you don't want to do anything at this point to prolong her death, but you want to make her comfortable in her life. You're not necessarily, if you're in hospice, you're definitely not going to do the gallbladder surgery. But in palliative care, if it's, going to really significantly improve her quality, that might be more of a consideration. It might still be no, but there's a chain, there's a level, there's levels there. So it's a continuum. So starting it earlier with the palliative side before you move to hospice, I think is just at this point good information for you to have about how you make those choices based on the fact that these people, these are experts in what they're doing. And I don't know if Pine Run does both palliative and hospice, but at least they should have a hospice social worker.
No. So my sister was there yesterday, and I had mentioned, you know, my mother's depression. So they are going to have a psychiatrist come early next week for an antidepressant and for something to make her want to eat.
Oh,
Um,
you need to give her some gummies.
what are gum? You mean like marijuana gummies?
Exactly what I need. Seriously.
She won't eat it. She's only doing liquids.
Okay. Well, you could get it in liquid form. I'm just saying.
That's a good idea.
No, it's a great idea. It really helps the
Here's the
depression, it helps the anxiety, and it helps the hunger. It really does.
They did mention that they could put her into skilled nursing, which is just downstairs, and that they do have hospice, and she could stay in her room for hospice. So there are things that like they're aware of that they have a nurse practitioner on the floor that, you know, is able to do the labs and read out, and that's who Jennifer talked to.
See, to me, this is such a tough call. And it's really one you have to make with your siblings of, you know, at the level of dementia my mom is, I could imagine we would say as a family, we just want to make her comfortable. We don't want to prolong her death. Like, if
Yeah. No, I think everybody's on that same page as well.
But how you do that, right? How you do that, you know, I think is going to be, I don't know. There's lots of options is my point. And, you know, this could just be a bump in the road and she could have a complete rebound and, you know, get her. It could be.
No, I mean, it's something that I wrote to everybody at the beginning of the week. And when I saw her on Tuesday, I thought, if she had the will, she could get out of this.
Oh, okay.
But she doesn't have the will.
Okay.
And but I'll see her today because my brother saw her Wednesday with his fiance. Jennifer was there yesterday. I'll see her today. We'll see.
All right. Well, it's, you know, it's just part of this journey. And, you know, so many of us are on it, and just know my heart will be with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.
Love you too.